tonight, 2 shark attacks in less than 24 hours. A woman and a child mauled off the same Queensland beach.
A development in the Beyersdorf murders case.
Well, I've decided to make an application for special leave to appeal to the High Court.
Could a police officer face charges over this arrest of a teenager at Byron Bay?
And milk levy, the small price rise which could make a big difference to our farmers.
This is NBN News with Natasha Beyersdorf and Paul Lobb.
Good evening. A 12-year-old girl is tonight fighting for her life after being attacked by a shark in the Whitsunday Islands in Queensland, close to where a woman was mauled less than 24 hours ago. The girl was treated by a vet who managed to stem the flow from a severed artery.
In the same place, less than 24 hours after the first attack, a 12-year-old girl savaged on the leg by a shark.
A shark attack maul bite to the patient's thigh area with significant blood loss and serious injuries.
It is very, very unlucky, and it's extremely unfortunate. You know, my heart goes out to these people that have been the victims of these horrible situations.
The young girl, bitten at Sid Harbour in the Whitsundays, was airlifted to Mackay Hospital for emergency surgery. Yesterday's victim, mother of 2, Justine Barwick, was also bitten on the leg there. The Tasmanian tourist's life saved by a series of lucky coincidences. An emergency doctor who just happened to be sailing in the area.
She had severe life-threatening injuries and was in an extreme state of hypovolemic shock when I arrived.
And the rescue helicopter, also nearby, and able to reach her just in time. The operation to get her on board, a complex one, taking 40 minutes. When she arrived at hospital, a trauma team was ready and waiting.
Very scared, cold, in shock, so in and out of consciousness, but yeah, she's very lucky to be alive.
In one of the great holiday playgrounds of Australia, tonight 2 people are in hospital badly hurt, and locals and tourists alike are nervous about going in the water. NBN News.
There's cautious optimism tonight in the New South Wales town of Beyersdorf, where 3 children were murdered almost 30 years ago.
The New South Wales Attorney-General will seek permission to appeal a recent High Court decision not to retry a man over the deaths, meaning the suspect could face court again.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
There could be justice at last for the 3 murdered Beyersdorf children. Police believe they know the killer of 4-year-old Evelyn Greenup and teenagers Clinton Speedy Duro and Colleen Walker. The Attorney-General says there's enough evidence to apply for special leave to appeal to the High Court.
I don't want to say too much about the case because the matter is now before the court, but I wouldn't be making this application unless I believe there were prospects of success before the High Court.
News of the application to the High Court came just hours after a large group of family and supporters rallied outside Parliament House in Sydney and in the children's hometown of Beyersdorf, where locals won't rest till they believe justice has been served.
And this is exactly what we need. We need community support, we need family support, we need support from these young fellas, these young staunch black fellas that we got here.
The grieving in the North Coast town of just over 2,000 people continues.
We're sick of people coming to us saying, oh, we know what something happened to Colleen, but no one's saying anything. Stop being gutless and come out and say it.
Very devastating to the families and the mothers and fathers of the children, especially them.
The pain never goes away, does it?
No, it's there all the time.
The family and friends believe the 52-year-old suspect, who can't be identified, would be convicted if the cases were heard together. Their years of ongoing protests may have finally been heard.
Wasn't expecting it, so, you know, after last week, kicking the guts, you know, it's just fantastic news.
Glenn Palmer, NBN News.
Chilling allegations have rocked a Brazilian court as Marcelo Santoro faced a judge for the first time over the murder of Cecilia Haddad. The man, who's accused of dumping his ex-girlfriend in a Sydney river, allegedly used Cecilia's corpse to trick her mother into believing she was still alive.
A judge, lawyers and the Brazilian homicide police. Inside the Rio courtroom, the cameras were ushered out before Marcelo Santoro was ushered in, charged with killing his ex-girlfriend, Cecilia Haddad. The judge heard from the Rio homicide detective leading the investigation, who told the court Marcelo Santoro allegedly gave an informal confession to police, admitting to strangling Cecilia in the kitchen of her Ryde apartment. Police allege Santoro then went to a local shopping centre and bought a juice before returning to the apartment 2 hours later, rolling Cecilia's body in a mattress or blanket before driving her car to the Lane Cove River, where he dumped her body. They allege he then took an Uber to Sydney Airport to flee Australia, stopping at the Gladesville Bridge and throwing Cecilia's car keys out the window. Marcelo Santoro was picked up on CCTV at Rio de Janeiro International Airport. That same day, Cecilia's body was found. In a chilling detail, the court was told Marcelo Santoro allegedly sent text messages to Cecilia's mother in Australia after she was killed, pretending to be her, using her finger to unlock her Touch ID phone. "My WhatsApp is not cool," he wrote in Portuguese. "I went to get a massage at the mall." Words and phrasing that her mother says Cecilia would never use.
There was one notable absence from the court here in Rio today, and that was any police from Australia. The judge has summoned New South Wales homicide detectives to be here. However, there appears to be some kind of diplomatic wrangle going on at the top. Sydney police say they've received no official correspondence from the Brazilian government.
Santoro's legal team used the hearing to poke holes in the Brazilian police investigation, saying without physical evidence from Australian police, the case is in danger of collapse. There is nothing solid in the case so far, only the media stories and the request from Australian police for collaboration. The court was told Marcelo Santoro has 2 broken ribs and has suffered a beating in custody. In Rio de Janeiro, Lizzie Pearl, NBN News. The government hopes its long-running feud with Catholic and independent schools is over as the Prime Minister announced a new funding deal. Scott Morrison is making a big point of trying to tackle major headaches for the coalition head-on, but there are some which just won't go away.
Nine's a current affair broke the story earlier this year. Mobile phone video showing a police officer inflicting more than 19 baton strikes on a naked 16-year-old boy at Byron Bay. 4 police officers restrained the boy who was under the influence of drugs. The police watchdog, the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission, found the earlier use of a taser and capsicum spray was justified. But the Commission found the baton strikes were unreasonable and grossly excessive. It concluded prosecutors should charge the officer with assault. The Commission also found 3 police officers engaged in serious misconduct when they arrested a woman in 2016 and dragged her into an unnamed Sydney police station with her arms handcuffed behind her back. No charges are recommended. It will be up to the police commissioner to take disciplinary action. This was September last year. An intoxicated woman in a Sydney holding cell. An officer punches the side of her head with a closed fist. He recorded CCTV of the incident on his phone and shared it on Snapchat. In this case, the recommendation was clear-cut. The officer should be sacked. The response from the police commissioner, a 2-line statement saying only that the commissioner will look at the recommendations. Mark Burrows, NBN News.
The government hopes its long-running feud with Catholic and independent schools is over as the Prime Minister announces a new funding deal.
So they measure it from the back. Scott Morrison in a hurry, running out of time before the election, trying to make hay while the sun still shines. Clearing political roadblocks.
We're just getting on and fixing the things that need to get fixed.
And fixing, he says, the damaging feud with Catholic and independent schools with new funding arrangements from 2020 and an extra $3.2 billion over 10 years.